Good evening, Solomon Schechter Academy parents. Bonsoir tout le monde. Nous vous remercions d'être avec nous ce soir. My name is Julie Schneider. I am Assistant Head of School. I'll be moderating this evening's panel, and we will attempt to get to all of your questions that come into us in the chat, as well as questions that have been posed to us via the covid@ssamontreal.org email address. We will attempt to do our best to answer your questions over the next hour, though I'm sure there will be more. So please feel free to reach out to us if we don't have a chance to get to everything tonight. I assure you that we are taking all of the questions, we are discussing them as a team, and that we will get back to you as soon as possible. So with me tonight, we have Stephen Erderly, our head of school, Directeur Général. We have Jennifer Benwalid, our Directrice Principal. We have Jim Goyle, our Director of Finance and Operations, Directeur de Finances et des Opérations. Dara Lang, our Vice Principal, Directrice Adjointe. And we have Alex DeRiso, Director of Student Services, Directrice des Services aux Élèves. And last, we have Stephen Karachinsky, who is our President of the Board, le Président des Conseils d'Administration. So I'd like to invite Stephen Karachinsky to say a few words to us tonight.
Great. Thank you, Julie. Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir à tous. Merci pour prendre le temps d'être avec nous ce soir, surtout à une heure assez tard et hors de standard. Again, we're coming together during some very obviously unprecedented and special times. We're just coming off a call with all of the community related to the Amiel Center. Some of you might have been on that call as well. And it was a really informative session. But what struck me the most about it is how involved the parent body and the families are at SSA. There was practically 100 people on the previous call, and it's one of the things that struck me the most when I joined this community is how involved everyone is at SSA. It's really a very parent-led school. And if there's one thing we need more than ever right now during these times, and we have gone to great lengths to ensure the safety and security of our children and all of our families, because one child, we're 1 degree away from everybody else in our community. But the one thing that's really important right now is unity amongst all of us. Parents, teachers, the administration, and the students, we all really need to be coming together and working together, because as many procedures and policies and investments and things that we do to protect, the thing that's going to be the most important is us following this as best as we can. And it's really working together as one community, as one team, and as really one family. I want everyone to know that on behalf of the board and the leadership team, everything that we're doing, thinking, and talking about is for the safety, well-being, and welfare of the children. And the leadership team here has done an incredible job, and you'll see by the thoroughness of their answers and the fact that they have answers to all of your questions, how much time and effort has been spent. And what I just also want to reassure everybody is that whatever is being shared with you this evening and through the next coming weeks and months is with the utmost transparency and openness. We are not hiding anything. We are not holding anything back. We are sharing everything that we know from you. Things will change, but what I think we should all be so proud of and thankful for is how flexible our team is and ready to adjust on a dime as new information and situations happen. So again, we've got a lot to cover in a short period of time. I'm going to hand it over to Stephen. And again, please ask your questions, get off what's on your mind. We want to make sure that there's as much clarity as possible so you could all feel comfortable. And instead of this being a tough and anxious time, let's look at this being a bit of an exciting and a great time, because finally our kids get to get back to school, be where they should be with the people they care about and love, and continue to thrive and grow. So thank you again for your time. And Stephen, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. And thank you, Julie, for moderating. And to all the parents who are at home watching on YouTube. Un grand merci. Toda. Today, we're going to try to answer your questions. We've been thinking about this every day, really since the beginning of March. We've been trying to figure out how to do a switch from in-class to online learning. Then as soon as we started doing online learning and improved upon it, we started thinking already how to go back to the classroom. And over the last few months, that has been top of mind. We've also been working on other scenarios. We're working on what we call a hybrid scenario, where some students are at home and most of the students are in school, so that students who have medical exemptions or for someone in their family can continue to learn. And we're also preparing for a situation that may occur where we have to go all to online learning, whether it be at the level of a class, a grade, or even the entire school. And I can tell you we are prepared. We are thinking about this constantly. We're examining every part of the day, from the time that the children arrive in the morning, throughout their day, at recess, at lunch, in class, going to the bathroom, walking up and down the stairs in the hallway, to dismissal. We're thinking about what they can do and what families can do to be safe outside of school as well. And together, I have to say, I've never been prouder to work with such a strong and successful administration team. And I'm so happy to have the support of the executive and the board and the parent volunteers that I'll be talking a bit more about later. Thanks to the strong support, we have been successful, and we are able to plan to make sure that every child's academic needs, emotional needs, social needs are going to be met. And I thank you for your support. As Stephen mentioned, it's different this year, and we know some of you are nervous about it. We're a little bit nervous ourselves. This is new. Each day we're trying something new in an unprecedented time. But everything we do, we try to think about how to make sure that your children are safe and that they're able to learn and have fun at the same time and enjoy coming to school. The reason I became an administrator was because I enjoyed my time in elementary and high school and so on. And we want the children to enjoy it. We don't want them to come in and feel nervous. So we're going to thank you. And we know we can count on you, whether it comes to things like wearing of the mask, to have your children practice in advance. So before they come to school on that first day, they aren't nervous, they aren't stressed. We ask you to try to pick out a mask that they like, something with could be something with a color of their choice or a picture of their choice, so that they feel comfortable wearing it. And I hope today we'll be able to answer your questions. And of course, if you have any additional questions, you could reach out to us through the covid@ssamontreal.org email. I have to say, we haven't had a chance to email all the parents back. We've gotten quite a lot of questions. Our goal is to answer as many of those tonight. And for everyone, we'll be getting back to you shortly. So we ask for your patience as well, because right now our focus is to make sure everything is prepared. So it may take us a bit longer to respond, but we're going to get back to every parent who has any inquiry or any questions. And I'll pass it off to Julie to begin by going through some of the questions that parents have asked and are asking on the YouTube chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. So the first question I'd like to start off with is with Jennifer, our principal. If you can please walk us a little bit through what back to school is going to be like this year for our students from the first day and week and the first month of school.
Thank you, Julie. I'd like to thank every parent for being here tonight and for being involved in your child's day-to-day life and education. We can only succeed in partnership with you, and I am very grateful that you are all here tonight. September, this back to school is going to be exceptional. Our students haven't been in a formal school setting since March. Educators are referring to this transition as what we call the COVID slide, which is a loss of learning, a loss of routines, and forgetting about the school procedures and what school life is all about. And we need to transition our students, our children, back into that school life, that day-to-day life, quietly and in a way that's very easy and not traumatic for them. September, and I'll speak about the academics first, and then we'll get to the more social and emotional questions, and we'll have Dr. Darisso help me with those ones. But academically, what we will be doing is starting off the month of September by assessing students, seeing where they're at, ensuring that everybody is at grade level by the month of October, so that we may proceed with new knowledge and new learnings. So the month of September is really going to be centered on teacher assessment of the students, observation, and really integrated learning in the classroom that will be targeted for student needs. So if students have experienced a loss of learning in one area, that is where the teachers will focus. Teachers will be focusing on core competencies that may or may not have been acquired in the past year from March to June. During that time, very little homework will be given in order to help children transition back to the school routines and procedures. We will be going over what the COVID procedures are, which are new procedures that involve hand washing, mask wearing, and all of the details that we have shared with parents.
Thank you, Jennifer. So just to allude to what Jennifer mentioned, so we did send an email to all families on Friday afternoon. That email, of course, contained this link for YouTube, but it also contained quite an extensive document that we spent a lot of time working on. We know that it doesn't answer every question that every parent may have, because the questions, there's hundreds of questions, but we spent a tremendous amount of time working to try and answer them, to not even to answer them quickly if we wanted to take the time to debate and to discuss them, because some questions are very simple and others require a lot of thought. And I'm very proud to be part of a team with so many experts in their field, and to know that we can depend on our parents from various committees, our medical advisory committee and our board, to help us with these transitions and with these questions. So as Stephen mentioned, we are getting back to you, but please do take the time to read the document that we sent on Friday. I know it's long, but it's worthwhile, and it will answer a lot of the basic questions that you have. And of course, if you have questions that are personal to your family situation and to your child, that's a great opportunity to reach out to us. So let's talk to Dara a little bit about what happens when a child has symptoms during the day. And then Stephen, if you can add as well about some of the protocols for COVID, what would happen if there were a case in the classroom or in the school, what that would happen afterwards.
So good evening, everybody. I would just like to tell you that if some children experience any kind of symptoms, the teacher will call Joy. Joy will not be located in her usual workspace because we understand that there was no windows and the ventilation is not really conducive for a sick child. So we will have her located downstairs on the main floor, and we will have a hot room and a cold room, and she will come up. If she's called, she'll come up to the class and she'll escort the child downstairs, and she will make a determination whether or not the child needs to go home. Parents will be called, and the child will wait in a room, supervised of course, until picked up, and then afterwards the room would be sanitized and ventilated and make sure that it's clean should another student have to use it later on in the day.
Thanks. Stephen, can you please add a little bit about the COVID protocols? What happens if somebody in a classroom does get sick? What happens if somebody, in the school, what happens then?
So first, I want to take a moment to thank the volunteers on the medical advisory committee who have been so instrumental in guiding us through some of these protocols. So I'll begin with the 4 key symptoms that parents should be looking for and that we'll be looking for as well. The first one is fever. It would be a fever of 38 degrees or higher. The second one is shortness of breath. The next one is coughing. And the last one is loss of sense of smell or taste. So if a child experiences any of these during the day or even in the evening, so if it's during the day, as Dara mentioned, the protocol will take place. If it's in the evening, we ask you to please let the school know by emailing us at covid@ssamontreal.org. And we ask you to take your child to be tested. And as well, any member of the family who's experiencing these symptoms should be tested. There's several testing sites throughout the island of Montreal. The closest one right now is at the Jewish General Hospital, or just outside the hospital in the parking lot. It's a relatively quick test. Right now, you can go without an appointment and get tested right away. Once you have the results, so if the results are negative or positive, we ask parents to let us know either way. If it is a positive test result, then we will immediately inform all the parents to let them know. So regardless of what grade, if it's a a case in grade 1, for example, every parent from junior pre-K to grade 6 will be informed. We also will be informing public health, santé publique, and they will guide us in terms of next steps, whether it would be quarantining just the class, if it's quarantining the grade, or the situation where it's quarantining the whole school. And these are protocols that we're working on with the government, with public health, so that we make sure we are on top of it. But right now, I can't give you the definitive answer until such a case happens. But again, our goal is to be transparent and share the information with you as soon as we have it.
Thank you, Stephen. So, of course, the government of Quebec has requested that all children be back in school at the beginning of the school year. This is something that we look forward to having the children back. Of course, there are families who won't be able to be with us, and we'll discuss a little bit about that plan for those who are going to participate in online learning. But Jennifer, can you tell us a little bit about the protocols in the classroom, how it's going to work? One of the things that the ministry mentioned was that the classroom is going to be the child's bubble. So what does that look like for our students in grades 1 to 6?
Thank you, Julie. So essentially, a child's homeroom has become his or her bubble, his or her family. This is the group that the child will be spending all of their day with. They will be in class together from morning till late afternoon. They will have lunch together. They will have recess together. Now, the ministry has not mandated any social distancing within that bubble. However, at Solomon Schechter, we want to make sure that all of our students are safe while maintaining that balance and allowing them to be children and to be kids and live in that beautiful child's world. So we have asked students to wear masks in the classroom. There is plexiglass, and I believe Mr. Erdely will speak later in more detail about the masks. However, in order to ensure that our students are kept safe, we have been forced to separate our students by section. So students in the French section will remain together. Students in the English section will remain together as groups to avoid students transitioning between classes. So that's one of the main things that will change this school year. In addition, students will not be eating their lunch in the lunchroom. They will be eating in their classroom. However, rest assured, they will have recess outside. They will go outside for lunch recess. They will go outside for their third recess, and they will be able to walk around their classrooms with their masks on, of course, but they will be able to have as normal of a routine as possible. For the first month of school, students will not have lockers. We will not have them share lockers in order to, again, keep them as safe as possible. They will be wearing their gym uniform throughout the month of September. If they need a sweater, they can bring it. They will go into their classroom directly with their knapsack and lunchbox, and will leave them by their desks.
Thank you, Jennifer. So Alex, Jennifer spoke a little bit about the academic side of what it's going to be like to be back at school for the first time. But of course, we all have a lot of stress about coming back to the school building and back to learning after being home for so long and after doing online learning. So tell us a little bit about the transition of back to school in a way that we can help the parents.
Thank you, Julie, and good evening, everyone. So from every staff member, teacher, child, and parent, everyone is feeling a certain level of anxiety and nerves about what back to school is going to look like. And that is completely normal. Our goal as educators, and I feel like as parents, you share this goal, is to make sure that our kids come back and feel that they're coming to a safe place, that they're coming to a place where their friends, their teachers, and they're going to learn. And one thing I would highly recommend is kids take their cues from the adults around them. And so as much as we are nervous and we have questions and we are going to be anxious about what everything is going to look like, as much as we can reassure them and prepare them, because the more they know what to expect, the less nervous they will feel about walking in that first day. So getting them to practice wearing masks, telling them, about what their classroom is going to be like, and that they're going to be with their class the majority of the day. All of, that 8-page document, just reviewing that in child terms with them to prepare them will, lessen those nerves. Obviously, we anticipate that they're going to come in a little bit more anxious than usual, but once they see the faces of their teachers that are, reassuring that they'll get into their routine, that will definitely settle. Some children will experience more anxiety than others. We are aware, and that's why I'm really proud that the school has such a strong student services team made up of incredible mental health professionals. We are here to support the kids, but we are also here to support you as parents. If you see signs that your child is exhibiting more anxiety than what you would expect, and that it's prolonged after the first few days, and we're there for the teachers to support them, to make sure that they're looking out for signs of more heightened anxiety, some behavior changes, so that we can be there to support the teachers and how they address it, and support the parents, and obviously to talk to the kids. So we're ready.
Thank you, Alex. So we had a question come in about the masks. Why do children need masks once they are sitting at their desk if we have plexiglass? Stephen.
So first, I want to maybe speak a bit in general about the masks to say this. This was one of the most hotly discussed, or most discussed in depth among the administration team and with the members of the medical advisory committee. My philosophy has always been to err on the side of caution, and I know we have on this point we've received mixed feedback from parents. There's some parents who've been very happy, and some parents who felt we went a bit too far. My feeling as a former teacher, is it's always easier to start the year being stricter and then soften up than to start a bit soft and try to become strict later. So right now, what we are asking is that all children from grade 1 to 6 should be wearing their masks in class as well. Now, that being said, will they have to wear it every moment of the class? No. And one of the things we are purchasing are plexiglass shields that will go on each desk. So these are 3-sided shields, and we're just finalizing the exact specifications. So these are going to go on each desk. And when a child is sitting there, when they're doing their own work, they can take off their mask. And that is one of the reasons why we have these plexiglass shields. So when they're working, let's say doing a written assignment or working on their own, yes, they can. If they're working in a group, if they're working with a partner, or if they're walking around in the class, then at that point, they will be wearing the mask. And again, the feeling is we want them to be safe. We want them to be comfortable. We also know it's not realistic to ask them to wear the mask throughout the day. And just one other thing I want to mention that we are getting for the staff, because some parents have asked about this, is so for the staff, they'll all have masks that have a clear window. And the reason for this is we want the children to see their teacher's smiling face. We want them to see that smile and that happiness. And of course, we know that happiness can light up the classroom for the children. We also know it's important for the younger children, for the children in grade 1 and even younger and older as well, for them to see their teacher's lips when they're speaking, so they can understand how to enunciate it, how to pronounce certain words, especially if it's in a second or third language. So again, the goal is to make sure that everyone is safe, including the children and the staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Jim, can you share with us about some of the improvements that have been made to the building over the summer, some of the plans drawn up, as well as what we can expect for the fall in terms of enhanced cleaning and investments in the building?
Certainly. This is without a doubt an exceptional year, as we all have grown to know. Basically, we've done our regular cleaning, but on top of that, we've done extra cleaning to make sure everything was disinfected and such, all the objects, all the tangible surfaces. We've painted walls, all the doors, or most of the doors are painted. We've changed out the hand sanitizer dispensers to have some that are alcohol-based. We've purchased portable washing stations. There's been major investments into all the extra equipment that's not normally needed in a regular school year. And this was all done with the approval and backing of our board of directors, which is greatly appreciated. So we mentioned the plexiglass shields. We mentioned the personal protective equipment from eyewear in the pre-K, and as there's the masks, there's gowns, there's many different things that are in place. There's also signage to control the traffic. There'll be one directional staircases so we don't have people crossing into each other. We've moved the first aid coordinator station and created a hot room that was mentioned before. We've cleared the hallways as much as possible to permit traffic to go in two directions on both sides so they don't intermingle as much. We've purchased disinfectant sprayers, foggers to accelerate the cleaning process, especially the high-touch surfaces, the door handles, the light switches, the washrooms, the hand banisters, all those items. We've also hired another team of cleaners. These are professionals, and what we needed in our school this year is to make sure that should someone be absent, we need to be able to have a good team behind us that can take care of everything. We've obviously kept Mateo on. He's, his institutional knowledge is beyond comparison. He knows everything about the school. And one of the largest things we've been working on lately and finalized today is the installation of air purification systems. So we got that as a go. We've looked at our existing systems and seen what we could do to improve them. We're currently looking at UV lighting to come into our existing system, so the air that's already circulating in our ductwork will be as pure as possible, or at least COVID-free, and extra filtration in there, and many other things as well. These are if you like, the highlights, but the amount of work, as was reiterated before, there was a lot done this year. The team has done this spectacular job throughout, and there's been a major investment into the school and to the safety and well-being of all the stakeholders of the school, which includes our students, our staff, and everyone who comes as well.
Thank you, Jim. Stephen, I think you wanted to add a little bit.
Yeah, if I can add to some of the points to what Jim mentioned, we've made significant investments in the school, and I'm thankful to the support of the executive and the board on this. Jim talked a bit about the air filtration systems. We've had a team of experts over the last 2 weeks examining the school, looking classroom by classroom, space by space, and coming up with the best devices for each case. Today, for example, we just purchased 43 Guardian air filters. This is the same technology that is used by NASA for the International Space Station, and is a technology that uses multi-level purification, electrostatic, HEPA filter, UV light, and it has their own proprietary technology that not only kills all the viruses and bacteria, but it releases a small amount of peroxide, which is safe, but kills any viruses that may be on surfaces as well. So if there's a virus that's living on a surface, on a desk, on a chair, it will kill that as well. And we purchased these for classrooms and made upgrades to the ventilation system throughout the building. We've also purchased 500 computers and laptops and tablets for students. So come the first week of school, every child will get a new device. Every child from kindergarten to grade 6 will get either a Chromebook or a tablet. This is a significant investment. I'm happy. This is one that we've been working on for months and looking with the IT committee, looking at the best product for our students. And we know that this is going to be beneficial, whether we're in the building, whether they're home, whether we're on remote learning for everyone. This was an investment of over $300,000 just on the technology side. We've invested also on the plexiglass shields. We've invested in extra resource. We hired an orthopedagogue. We hired a student supervisor to help in the hallways. So whereas other schools may have decided, okay, now is a time to cut back, we have realized that this is a time we need the support. We need to make sure every child has the support if they've fallen behind to catch up, that they have the technology that they need, that we have the safety and security measures in place. And just to add, in terms of tuition assistance and financial aid, we've given out 50% more this year than last year, 50% more than in previous years. And we know that any family who wants to continue at Solomon Schechter, we want to do everything we can to help them. And any family who asks for additional support through our COVID-19 Relief Fund, we're happy to be able to help them. I also want to mention, we know that there are some families who were not necessarily hurt financially. And we hope that you'll be able to help us out a little bit so we can continue to meet the needs of every child, whether it be, again, academically, whether it be in terms of safety and security. And if we do reach out to you in the near future, we hope that you'll be able to help support us so that we can continue to do it. So far, my goal is to say yes. If one of the members of my team asks me for something, if a parent reaches out and says, oh, I have a great idea about something that you should do, our goal is to continue to be able to say yes, to do it. But we hope we can count on your support to make sure that all these initiatives are put in place and we can continue to do the best for all the children at Solomon Schechter. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. A few questions have come in about whether we will be taking temperature checks of students and staff coming in the building, Stephen.
So this was one of the topics that was discussed extensively with the Medical Advisory Committee. And they looked at significant data and research on this topic. And based on the research and the discussions with the Medical Advisory Committee, the decision was not to do temperature checks at this time. The concern from the studies we've seen has been that there's been a significant number of false positives. So if you can imagine, a child is running to school in the morning, they're in a rush, maybe they're running late, or they're a bit stressed, their body temperature rises, and leads to a false positive test where it looks like they have a fever. We end up calling a parent, it creates a panic, and it's all for nothing. So because of that, we have decided at this point not to. Additionally, the concern is that it'll create a backlog at the entrances. However, what we are asking parents to do is this. You know your children better than we do. If you sense that your child is not feeling well, please take a look. Check their temperature at home. Check if they have a fever. Check if they have a cough, and so on. If they have one of the 4 symptoms that I mentioned earlier, then yes, definitely keep them home. And of course, email COVID at ssamontreal.org and have them tested. If they have a runny nose, or a bit of a sore throat, we recommend keep them at home. My hope is that this year we're actually going to see less kids getting sick with all this new technology, with children washing their hands multiple times throughout the day, with them wearing masks. We hope that we'll see less and hopefully have less children with symptoms. And just one more thing I wanted to mention is, look, we are going to do everything we can from the time the children arrive at school till the time they return home. Obviously, we cannot control what happens outside, but we ask you to be cognizant of your actions as well as parents. So if you're taking your children, if you're going to a store, of course, make sure to follow the protocols. Make sure you're wearing masks. Make sure your children are. Make sure you're sanitizing your hands regularly. Try to avoid having play dates. Or if you do have play dates, try to maintain some distancing. And we want to keep our children safe. We want to keep the community safe. This is not just about you and your children and your family. It's about all the children. It's about all the community. So please, we ask for your support. We ask for your help to do everything you can outside of school to follow the protocols. We know the children will. We know that they will. We know that they'll get used to it. We know that they're resilient. We ask you for your help in supporting us to keep everyone safe. Thank you.
Jennifer, can you share a little bit of information about some of the classes? There's a lot of questions that have come into us about math enrichment and about STEP and about also the children sitting in staying in the same class all day, how that's going to work.
Thank you, Julie. Of course, the goal here is to maintain a sense of normalcy for the children as much as possible. So math enrichment will still happen. However, it will be inside the classroom with the classroom teacher, the math classroom teacher. STEP will still happen. We have assigned separate STEP classroom for every grade level. Students will have their own desk assigned to them that nobody else will touch. And students, even though they are coming from 3 different classes, they will sit with their class. So for example, STEP grade 3 students that are coming from 3A, 3B, and 3C, the students from 3A will sit together with the plexiglass and the masks on, of course. 3B will sit together and 3C will sit together, but they will have full STEP. As for staying in the same classroom all day, students will still have a chance to move around. Students will still be able to work cooperatively because, and this is one of the reasons why we have invested so much on the masks and on the plexiglass and on every safety measure possible. Because even though we are taking all of these extra measures that are not mandated by the Ministry of Education, this allows us to work safely and to maintain a normal business as usual school day in the classroom. So children will be able to move around and children will be safe and happy.
Thanks, Jennifer. So can you share a little bit, we have some questions about the plan for back to school to get all pupils to the same level academically, and if there's some who have fallen behind or some who are not at grade level, and also those who are above level academically to maintain the challenges. And maybe you can share a little bit about the new addition to the team.
Yes, absolutely. So the plan in September, as I mentioned before, and I apologize, I was a little bit distracted at the beginning. My kids were fighting in the background, which is everybody's new COVID reality. So the plan in September is what? Is to differentiate by what we call readiness levels, depending on what level each child is on. Now, some students that were doing very well academically up until March did not do so well on Zoom. Others thrived on Zoom. So what the role of the teacher is going to be, and this is what we've been working on throughout the summer, and it's what we'll be working on with our teachers and on the professional development we will be giving them over the next few weeks and in an ongoing matter throughout the school year, is how do we measure where our students are? How do we target interventions in order to get everybody on grade level? So as I was saying before, week 1 is going to be observation and evaluation. And then week 2, 3, and 4 are going to be targeted interventions using a model that we call response to intervention. And at the end of week 4, if we feel that some students are not at grade level, that is when we will make the recommendations. Now, a new addition to our team is an orthopedagogue, une orthopédagogue in French, which is a teacher, a certified teacher with a master's in education, but who is specialized in teaching and learning for students with learning difficulties. She will allow us to better plan for those students who do not find themselves at grade level come October, and to continue our ongoing interventions and support the teachers throughout that process.
Thanks, Jennifer. So Dara, tell us a little bit about your new addition to your team and what they'll be responsible for.
So I'm really excited that we have a new addition, a student supervisor. His name is Chris. Let me get this right. Chris. I'm sorry. He just told me today and I can't even remember. But anyways, he's a great guy. He has a lot of experience working with children with all different needs and with special needs. He's going to be a great addition. He's going to help supervise our hallways. He's going to make sure that children are maintaining social distancing, walking in the right direction when they're in the hallway without their teachers on the way to the bathroom, making sure that they're waiting for their turn to enter the bathroom, because of course they will not only be with their class at that time. So make sure that we're maintaining social distance and that there's only a certain number of children who are in the washrooms at the same time. Another a very exciting thing that has just happened this past month is our playground. And I hope everybody's had a chance to drive around. I know I've driven around the schoolyard many times just looking at it, and I can't wait to see the children playing on it. And I know they were excited. They all participated in a little survey last year, giving their feedback as to what they wanted on their structure, and they have it. So I think that that's going to be a really great addition to help our kids find new things to play with. And just to reassure you, all classes will have recess with their own class. So there will be multiple locations, different locations for recess at one time. And we're working on the logistics of that, but the children will be able to play freely in the backyard, the lunchroom, and in all different areas. And we'll get back to you when we know that for sure. But lots of exciting things are happening.
Thanks, Dara. I'm very excited for the playground. I wanted to also share, so this is a good segue to one of the questions I received about what the first day of school is going to be like for our new grade 1 students. Usually we do have our parents come into the building and come to the class with them, and how is that going to work? So we're very sensitive to our incoming grade 1s. Who are actually a lot more resilient than we give them credit for. And sometimes it's, it's parent anxiety too, but it's also a very special moment for parents to see that maturity in their child, to see them in their uniform for the first time, and to see them in class. So look, the reality is we want to minimize the health risks to anybody, and we want to keep everybody safe. And because of that, we decided that there will not be parents or guests in the building of the school. And really, as much as this could be disappointing in some ways and challenging for us, we really, together with the medical advisory committee, feel that this is the right decision for the school. So in order to mitigate any concerns or stresses, especially for grade 1 students, we're going to do a couple of things. The first is a playground preview. So for the students, families who are watching, who are coming into grade 1, you should have received an email yesterday about a playground preview. You're invited on the Friday before school starts to meet your child's class and their teachers, and to be really the first children to try out our new playground. So we're very excited for that, and we hope to see you there. So that'll be step 1 of the grade 1 transition. And then for the first day of school, we'll send all the details to you this week with all of the times for back to school and every piece of information you need to know. I know we're waiting on it, and I promise you we are working as fast as we can. But the grade 1 students on the first day of school start a little bit later than the others. And so that's going to give us a chance to be outside of the front door with all of our families, to get those first day of school pictures together, and then to help lead the children into the school using the new procedures, getting them to Purell their hands or to wash their hands on the way up, using which stairwell they're going to go up to in their classroom. And so that parent first day of school time is going to take place outside of school on the first day, once the rest of the children in grades 2 to 6 have gotten settled in their classrooms. Okay, we have quite a lot of questions. So Jennifer, I'm going to throw to you regarding online learning and how that's going to work for families who have maybe a medical difficulty and they won't be able to come to school, and also for families who their child has symptoms and is maybe sick with a cough or a cold and has to stay home, how that will work as well.
Perfect. Now I'm the one who's excited. It is an excellent program. I can't stress that enough. You will be getting a communication in a few days detailing the program. All I can say is, thanks to this program, no child will be penalized in an academic or social manner because they cannot physically be in school. This program will be designed for students who need to stay home long-term because of a medical situation that makes it impossible for them to be physically present in school, but it will also be available to all students who need to stay home for an extended period of time because they have developed one of the 4 symptoms or are awaiting a COVID test result. This model is a blended model of online learning in addition to being able to be virtually present in their home Room class, which will allow students to maintain relationships with their peers, with their homeroom teacher, but at the same time receive a quality education by only certified teachers. More details to follow, but I am extremely proud of the program that Solomon Schechter will be offering all of our families.
Thanks, Jennifer. I just want to take a moment to say, to make clear that if your child is home, the idea is that they shouldn't be coming to school if they have symptoms. We want to keep everybody safe, and they will have access to online learning. Now, that's going to take, during the first week of school, the focus is going to be the children who are in the building in terms of getting them set up. I see some questions about whether they're going to be trained for proper procedures, for hand washing, for which stairs to use, for how to use the new technology. And of course, that's what the first week is going to be focused on. And so it's going to be later in that week that we're going to distribute devices and work towards supporting the children who are not coming to school on the first day, who have medical notes for the long term, and they will be able to get set up. But basically, going forward, if your child is ill and can't come to school, they will be able to go to the online program. So for those parents who are asking about that. A few other questions. Jennifer, can you speak more about the classes being separated by section and what's going to be done if there's a discrepancy in class sizes? And also, Dara, my daughter wants to know if they're still going to give out cupcakes on birthdays. Maybe Dara answer that one. You want to answer that one first?
For sure. It's much cuter than learning.
Of course, we have to celebrate our birthdays. Absolutely.
Okay, Jennifer, so tell us about class sizes and...
Okay, so we have been working hard reshuffling the classes in order to make sure that the class sizes are even and there are no big discrepancies. I'm happy to report that there are no shocking discrepancies between the French and English sections. We have, as you know, 3 classes per grade level, which allow us to distribute the students in a fair and equitable manner. Some students who have English eligibility choose to be part of the French section as well. So it's not only students who cannot be in the English section who are in those groups.
Thanks, Jennifer. So yes, go ahead, Stephen.
Actually, just to add to Jennifer's point, as a reminder, for those students in grades 1 and 2, the groups are already mixed, and this is something we started doing several years ago. So for grade 1 and 2, the students in the English section and French section will be mixed, as has been the case for the last few years. Thanks.
So, Stephen, there's quite a number of questions about what should happen if a sibling gets sick, if there's certain protocols to be followed, or if somebody in the class. Could you explain a little bit what happens there?
So reminder for the protocol. So again, if any child is showing the 4 symptoms that I mentioned, that child should stay home and be tested, as well as any sibling. And I would say the same is true if a child has, let's say, something more minor, a runny nose, let's say, we recommend that child stay home as well, and their sibling, until they are symptom-free. Now, if it is this was a question I received from a parent, if it is something where they have a runny nose that is a chronic condition or lasts several weeks, then, or I shouldn't say several weeks, lasts, several days, I would say that would be a question to reach out to Joy, our first aid coordinator, and either she'll be able to answer herself, and if need be, she'll consult with the medical advisory committee members who she's going to consult with on that.
So we have another question about graduation for grade 6, Jennifer. So will the graduation activities be moved to the beginning of the year in case we have another shutdown? And what are we thinking for graduation?
So right now our focus is to get the school up and running, and again, to ensure our students have a positive experience, live in that beautiful child's bubble, and just readjust to the realities of school, the procedures, while keeping everybody safe. So we have a lot on our plates at the moment. The goal is to give our students the best possible graduation experience no matter what the circumstances are. Last year, the circumstances were very difficult, but our students had a wonderful graduation celebration. And no matter what, this is something that will be a priority to us, and we will adjust. The same way we adjusted last year, we will adjust if we need to. Of course, our hope is that we will be able to have something that resembles what we've had in the previous years. But if they have something different, it will still be something of very high quality, and we will celebrate them the way they deserve to be celebrated.
Thanks, Jennifer. Another question for you, it was regarding the class sizes. Sorry, I know I'm sending a lot of questions your way regarding the class sizes of how many students we expect to be attending. And also, if it's sort of a combination question about why parents don't have the choice to opt into online learning.
Okay, well, I'm glad my kids stopped fighting because you keep on throwing questions my way. So as far as the class sizes, we're well within, even below what the ministry requires, which is classes between 20 and 25 students. We have, again, 3 classes per grade level. So we have enough space to space the students. We are not in a situation of overcrowding by any way or means. As far as your next question, Julie, I'm sorry. Can you please remind me?
So my other question was, why can't parents just opt into online learning? This is, look, let's be real. This is the hot topic that everybody is asking. People are concerned, and they want to know if they should be, what should they do? And why can't they have a choice? Because we hear sometimes in other parts of the country and the world that there's different models being used.
First of all, as a parent, I totally understand that frustration at not being able to make such an important decision for your own child in a pandemic situation like this. The way education works in Canada is that it is a provincial competency. That means provinces have a right to decide and make the laws regarding education, and toute la loi sur l'éducation publique is and privée in Quebec is mandated by the Quebec government. Although we are a private school, we still have a permit that is given to us by the Ministry of Education, and we need to follow their rules. So this is not a decision that comes from Solomon Schechter. This is a ministry decision, and they have decided and mandated that all students should go back to school, leaving really no choice to parents or to schools, but to apply this ruling. But at the same time, if students have a medical reason or families have a medical reason, and they have been very specific in what constitutes a valid doctor's note, then students do not have to go back to school.
Thanks, Jennifer. So there was a question that came in early on our chat. Prolonged sitting can lead to poor blood circulation, which is not the best during COVID. How long will kids sit?
Not any longer than they would sit during a normal school year. As I said before, we've gone beyond an extra mile to ensure everybody has a mask and plexiglass and that everything is disinfected regularly. There will be a very, very thorough hand washing and hand cleaning protocol throughout the day that students and staff will engage in. And the reason for this is we want to be able to allow students to work in groups. So that requires getting up, moving your desk, and sitting next to a partner while wearing a mask again. Students will be able to walk around the classroom as much as they need. I should also mention, and that's something I forgot to mention earlier, that our body break room will still be open for the students requiring breaks. Again, COVID protocols will be in place and we will ensure everybody's safety, but students will be able to take that break if they need it. Teachers are also very adept at reading a room, and kids have a lot of tell signs when they've had enough of sitting and they get fidgety, they're not paying attention, their eyes are unfocused, and they start acting up. So teachers have this thing that we call brain breaks, where students get up next to their desk, They'll do 1 or 2 jumping jacks or 1 or 2 stretches, some breathing exercises, but kids will be allowed to move around. We will not keep kids sitting down for hours on end. I promise you that.
So Dara, some of the other questions came in. If you could please clarify the procedures for drop off in the morning and for pickup at the end of the day, and how we're staggering it and what it's going to be like again in the morning. And also one other question from a family was how they're going to receive the lanyards on the first day of school.
Sure, Julie. So arriving to school is staggered just the way it is. Children will begin arriving at around 7:40. They come in through the back, through the side, through the front. We will have sanitizers at every entrance point so that children could sanitize their hands upon entering. We will also have some social distancing markings if there is a little bit of congestion at the door. So there will be social distancing. Children will enter the building wearing a mask as well. So that's arriving, and then they go straight up to their classrooms as they did last year. And we will dismiss school, a staggered dismissal. So it starts at 3:50 to 3:55. Children with the last names from A to E will dismiss first. Then after that, 3:55 to 4 o'clock, we have from F to O. And then the last group will be from 4 to 4:05. The names from P to Z. So we decided to try dismissing by alphabetical order so that this will help the families who have to pick up their children. It'll be at the same time. We know that sometimes this might cause a bit of a conflict with the carpool. So we just reassure you that the children will never be left alone. There's always people who will be escorting them out, watching them until they are picked up. So we recommend that if you have a carpool who have children in different groups that are being dismissed at different times, just have a conversation, make sure they know where to meet you, where to meet the other children in the carpool. And if there's anything that we could do, send us an email the teachers, and just, give them your direct instructions. And finally, all children will be getting a lanyard for their masks, and that they'll be given. The school will give it out on the first day. We know that some people will like to bring their own. We know that's become a bit of a fashion statement. So if you do bring your own, please just make sure that there is a release clip, because that's the most important for safety reasons. So Julie, I hope that answered those questions.
It does. So Jennifer, another question. What will happen for students who are registered for English math, but who chose conversational French in terms of moving classrooms?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. In grade 3 and 4, students sometimes do have the choice, unless they do not have English eligibility, to either choose to do math in French, even though they're in an English section, or to do more French conversation, or vice versa. This will no longer happen, unfortunately, because we have to minimize movement throughout the school. So the way we have separated the classes in grade 3 and 4 is that parents who have chosen English math, their children will automatically be enrolled in English section. That being said, this is not written in stone, and if any parent wishes to switch their child over into the French section, please send me an email and it will be done. It's not a problem. As far as the parents in the French section who do not have English eligibility, again, we have to follow Ministry of Education rules, and unfortunately, we cannot give you the choice. Yes, I think that's it.
So thank you, Jennifer. I would say on this one, if there are, again, as Jennifer mentioned, if there are personal cases with different family members, with your different children, to please reach out to Jennifer directly about that, and she will make sure that they're well placed. Please also note that this is a planned temporary measure. It's something that we anticipate that we need to do this year in order to minimize movement. But we believe that we have offered these choices that parents can benefit from and that their children can benefit from, and that we see that the children over the last few years are benefiting from being able to have these options. So it's very important to the school that we continue. So this is a temporary measure. And so after, our hope is that next school year that we can go back to a mixed environment, that the pandemic will be long behind us, we hope. But the point is to say that this is temporary. It's not done because we believe that this is the best change academically, but it's done because we believe that this is the best way to solve the issue and to make sure that the children minimize interaction and contact with each other. And it'll just be for the time being. So please be reassured about that. And if you have specific questions about your children's options and what you picked and you're thinking of changing that, if you have the eligibility to do so, please reach out to Jennifer. So we have one last question, which I will ask Stephen, which is Jennifer, did you want to add one other thing? Sorry.
Yes, sorry about that. I just wanted to say, making these decisions is something that's very stressful for parents in normal times. During this very, very stressful time, it's doubly stressful. So please, this is an open invitation. If you have any questions on academics or on distance learning or anything that we can help you with, please reach out to us. We're here to answer your questions. We're here to take the stress away. And again, as Stephen had said earlier, we thank you in advance for your patience. We're trying to get the school to reopen in the middle of a pandemic, so it's a little bit difficult, but we will get to you. And thank you, and I can't wait to see all of the children back in school. Have a good night, everybody.
So last question for Stephen is about the grade 6 Israel trip. So we've put it on the calendar, but what will happen?
Thank you, Julie. So the Israel trip is still on the calendar. Our hope is B'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, that next year we'll all be able to gather in Jerusalem. Obviously, at this point, we don't know for sure if it will happen. But we will be communicating with you as we have more information. So I know some parents of children who are now starting grade 6 are interested for their child and for themselves. So right now I would say it is on hold. It's not canceled. And we're following the news, following the number of cases, what happens here, what's happening in Israel. We hope that there'll be a vaccine soon. But obviously until then, we can't tell you for sure one way or the other, but we will let you know as soon as we have any new information. And I guess at this point, I think we've run out of time and questions. I want to conclude first by saying thank you to the panel. Thank you to my administration team and Julie for moderating. Thank you, Stephen Karashinsky, for joining us and for your support, for the support of the executive, the board. As I mentioned earlier, it's not a simple time for them as well. The board's job, of course, is to make sure we're doing the best and using the money and resources of the school wisely. And I appreciate their support as we're trying to do everything we can to keep the children safe and sound. I want to thank you, the parents that are watching on YouTube that have asked your questions. I apologize we didn't have a chance to get to all of them, but please reach out to us either individually or through covid@ssamontreal.org. It may take us a few days to get back to all of you, but we're going to do our best to answer each and every one of your questions. I want you to know that we breathe, we eat, we sleep, we think about how to solve the situation, how to make sure that we're doing our best. We are all a little bit out of our comfort zone. As I mentioned, I was climbing on the roof of the school with 3 ventilation experts and Jim. I've learned more about MERV and HEPA and UV lighting and ventilation in the last week or 2 than I have in my entire life. And we're learning to be experts in new fields. We're learning new things because we want to make sure we're doing everything to go above and beyond. I want to take a moment to thank the parents that have volunteered their time. I want to make a special mention of the members of the Medical Advisory Committee, our co-chairs, Dr. Odelia Borton and Dr. Dory Schiff, Dr. Michael Singer, Dr. Jonathan Aflalo, and Dr. Deborah Asayag. I want to thank the chairs of some of the committees and members that have been really helpful. Thank you to Larry Rinsler, the chair of our Risk and Safety Committee. Thank you to Pamela Pfeiffer, the chair of the Real Estate Committee, and to Ryan Blatt, who's been very helpful on the Real Estate Committee as well. Thank you to Benjamin Sternthal, who's been helping out, giving his time and his wisdom in terms of the building and ventilation. It's thanks to parents that are volunteering like you that we're able to answer these questions, that we're able to make sure we're doing our best. And again, we hope We can count on your support. We've been trying to spare no expense to make sure your children have exactly what they need, whether it be additional resource teachers and resource, whether additional supervision in the hallways, additional masks and gloves and dispensers. And we have purchased, Jim could probably tell you how many liters and liters of hand sanitizer we purchased in the last few weeks. Computers, we just got a shipment today. We had all the devices today came for grades 1, 2, and 3. So we got close to 200 Chromebooks arriving today. I was very excited to see, and we unboxed 1 or 2 just to test them out to make sure they're ready, and they'll be up and running by the time your children arrive. We're spending money on filtration systems to make sure that they're killing any viruses that are in the air, any bacteria. We're making sure we have plexiglass shields, making sure the protocols are in place to keep your children safe, while at the same time making sure they have an opportunity to learn and enjoy their time at Solomon Schechter and be happy. And that's why we're all here. So I want to thank you again for your support, and I hope we can continue to count on you moving forward. Thank you. Merci, tada, and have a good evening.